Joe Biden is asleep. Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce. 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 Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. 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 Party with Beyonce. 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 Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. 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 Party with Beyonce. Beyonce.
Stop. Carry on.
Dance party with Beyonce.
On your campaign trail, you vowed to bring down the prices at grocery stores very fast.
Yeah, we won't
but
do it
then
fast.
you recently told Time Magazine that bringing down prices would be very hard. So what can the American people expect when you get into office?
It's always
When
hard to
can they
bring
go
down
the
prices
grocery
when
store
somebody
and-
else has screwed something up like they did. But we'll bring them down. We'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy, and energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up, and energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples, everything has gone through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country. They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over. Murders, people that have killed. Many, 32% have killed more than one person. They released them from their jails, their prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason we got such a large vote. Maybe one or two more questions.
Real quick, you mentioned the inflation executive order the president signed, but egg prices have skyrocketed since President Trump took office. So what specifically is he doing to lower those costs for Americans?
Really glad you brought this up, because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Hundreds of ducks infected with bird flu have been found on the shores of Lake Michigan in the Chicago area, while some area farms are taking an economic hit as they lose flocks of chickens and their eggs to the virus. And WGN's Sean Lewis has that story.
Good evening. This latest outbreak began in December from a few scattered reports out in the suburbs and surrounding areas to now hundreds here in the city. Along Chicago's lakefront, the reports began to flock in on Friday.
It's very distressing. These are beautiful birds.
Annette Prince from the Chicago Bird Collision Monitors tells me the first reports were outside of the city in geese, hawks, owls, and an eagle. Then Friday, it came into the city in ducks.
We had a massive reporting of particularly one type of bird, the merganser, which is both in a red-breasted and a common merganser version, that were showing up dead or sick or out on the ice or on the beaches or floating in Lake Michigan.
From Hyde Park on the south side up to Wilmette on the north shore, the merganser duck seems to be the latest species impacted by the H5N1 avian flu.
It just seems a tragedy. They come here to the Lake Michigan area to winter, and they're out in big flocks out in the lake. It's always a wonderful thing to see in Chicago. The habitat that we provide for these birds.
Nearby, Lincoln Park Zoo reporting 2 confirmed avian flu deaths. A young flamingo named Teal on January 8th and a harbor seal named Slater on January 9th. For now, the zoo has closed the birdhouse and says it has not had any other cases. The virus has also wreaked havoc on poultry, with nearly 150 million chickens, turkeys, and other birds affected across the country.
It seems to be different this time around.
Just a few weeks ago, Cockadoodle Farm in Madison lost its entire flock of 3,000 chickens. Its egg business for now is gone, and the farm itself is on a 120-day quarantine.
You kind of see this happening in, big confinement warehouses, right? And you don't think that it's going to happen to like a small guy like me. It's scary for us, and it's also scary for all the other small poultry producers that are out there who kind of thought they were, immune to this whole thing, right?
His family farm now is relying on online orders of other products and a GoFundMe to get them through.
We're getting word that it's going to even be hard to get new chickens to recover from this because it seems to be happening to so many people.
The winter weather does play a big role in the virus's spread.
Certainly, we're hoping that as spring comes and warmer weather is here, the virus is going to diminish in the wild population, and some of the threats are going to go away.
And experts say if you do see an ailing or dead bird on the ground, do not go near it, especially pets and children. They say to call animal control or the health department instead. Along the lakefront, Sean Lewis, WGN News.
It is time now for our weekend health roundup. And the big story this week is the continued outbreak of the avian influenza, or also known as bird flu. That's in dairy cows and poultry flocks all across the U.S., which has also infected other animals and even some humans. Joining us now is ABC News medical contributor and pediatrician at Stanford Children's Health, Dr. Alok Patel. Always great to have you here, my friends. A lot to clear up about this outbreak. First, kind of break down what exactly is bird flu. What are some possible signs? What are symptoms? What do folks need to know here?
Well, happy Saturday, Morgan. Bird flu, as the name implies, is a type of influenza virus, specifically influenza type A, which means it can cause respiratory illnesses that people are probably familiar with, symptoms such as runny nose, watery eyes, coughing, etc. The reason it's so concerning right now is because how quickly bird flu can spread amongst animals, quickly decimating entire populations of wild birds. We've seen this spread among dairy farms, birds, ducks, and other mammals as well, even mammals that people don't normally think could get infected, such as raccoons, bears, and domestic cats. Now, humans can also get these symptoms as well. The big reason that everyone is watching, though, even though human cases are low, is because of the potential for bird flu to mutate and be able to jump over and cause more widespread human infections. That's what the big concern is, especially given the fact that throughout history, so many infectious disease outbreaks are thought to have originated in animals.
Yeah, certainly concerning as you're explaining it there. But so with that said, how worried should people be that they'll catch this bird flu? Should people be scared that this could become another pandemic? I mean, what are we looking at here?
We're not about fear when we talk about medical stories. I just want people to be empowered and to be paying attention. Now, we need to be absolutely tracking cases, because if we let a virus replicate in the wild, there's a possibility that it may mutate and jump over and infect humans. But people should be realistic and realize that right now, cases in humans are low, and there are no documented cases of human-to-human transmission. The CDC reports that there's 67 cases in humans, 1 fatality, and that's only the numbers we know about. We should be testing and surveilling a little bit more. But again, the people who are most at risk are those who might be coming in contact with sick or dead animals, such as people working in farms, working with dairy cattle, and so forth. So if you are at risk because you're working with these populations, it's important to wear PPE, personal protection. And as always, to pay attention to any animals you may see who are sick or who are dead. You want to make sure you're taking precautions. And Morgan, it's important to note as well that bird flu could be found in undercooked dairy products and unpasteurized milk. So we got to make sure that you are paying attention to what you're consuming as well as this outbreak is happening.
Such a good reminder. And since the price of eggs is going up and people might be a little, afraid to eat eggs, right? Right now, what egg alternatives would you suggest people use in their food?
Listen, eggs are like a lifelong staple of getting protein in the morning, which is so important for our bodies. But there are other ways to get protein early in the morning, such as from cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, almond butter, peanut butter. A tofu scramble, Morgan, is one of my favorites. Lots of protein in there. There's also quinoa. So it's important to know that, yes, you can get protein from eggs. There's also other ways to get protein as well. But I suspect that many people out there just like eggs on their plate. It's a tradition. That is why if we want to keep the price of eggs low, we got to be paying attention to what's happening globally as it comes to bird flu. And Morgan, one thing that we don't yet know the outcome of is what's going to happen now that we're not part of the WHO and there's a block on Federal Health Agency communication. So all eyes on bird flu right now, not just with respect to animal populations, our health, our healthcare system, but also when it comes to the price of good old hearty eggs.
Well, all eyes on that, but then all eyes are on that tofu scramble that you just said. Give me the recipe for that. Send that to me.
Done. Consider it done.
Thank you, my friend. Dr. Alok Patel, thank you as always.
The CDC is cutting off all communications with the World Health Organization, effective immediately. The move is to comply with the executive order President Trump signed last week, withdrawing the U.S. from the WHO. And while federal law requires 1 year's notice before the U.S. can remove itself, Trump says the withdrawal should happen right away. This has experts warning of serious consequences, especially concerns over a bird flu outbreak in this country, which is growing. And this is what the press secretary said about the move just last hour.
DOJ and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of.
Joining me now, Dr. Irwin Redletter, public health analyst and founding director of the National Center for Disaster Preparedness at Columbia University. For folks who don't understand all these letters, talk about the relationship between the CDC and the WHO and what it accomplishes.
Right, Chris. So this is what it amounts to. We have a very powerful entity in the United States, the Centers for Disease Control, which helps us get ahead of the major pandemics and infectious disease outbreaks and other illnesses that we need to pay attention to. But we work hand in hand with the World Health Organization, the so-called WHO. And that relationship is a powerful and important one. We cannot do this alone. We cannot set up a global surveillance system to give us early warning if a pandemic's coming our way. We are dependent upon our partners in the world, and they're dependent on us. We need each other. You know, there are Republican policies and conservative policies, and then there's stupid policies. And I hate to say that, but withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization puts Americans at significant risk for all kinds of problems that we don't even want to have to think about, including the bird flu that you just mentioned.
Well, let's talk about the real world.
Yeah,
right now, the U.S. is handling a bird flu outbreak. What would this mean?
Well, this would mean that we would lose the benefit of the close collaboration with researchers around the world who are, first of all, looking for early signs of even greater spread of the bird flu, and also working on what we're going to do to prevent the bird flu or treat the bird flu. We can't cut ourselves off from that kind of information and expect to just be, isolated from what the world is doing around these important public health events. And Americans can pay a very steep price by withdrawing us for God knows what reason from the World Health Organization. It's one of the most outrageous, unacceptable policies they're putting forward right now. And it's, I don't know what to say, but I hope Congress is able to step up and say, no, Mr. President, you cannot do that. You cannot allow us to withdraw. First of all, it's illegal because we're supposed to give a year's notice. And second of all, we don't want to, even if we could step out of the WHO world right now, it would be dangerous and dumb for American public health and American safety going forward, Chris.
We only have a minute left, but I want to ask you about the administration's move to freeze some foreign aid, including instructing organizations in other countries to stop distributing HIV medications.
Well, I'll tell you right now, the biggest HIV program in the world is what President George Bush started, called PEPFAR, that has saved probably, 25 million lives right now, dealing with AIDS and HIV in Africa. And they want to stop that. They've already shut off the computers of PEPFAR workers in Africa. I mean, it is ham-handed, it is dumb, it is dangerous, and it is profoundly cruel of what this administration is putting on the table right now.
Dr. Irwin Redlener, I know we had a compressed amount of time, a lot of news today, but we got in a lot of information. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, Chris.
With all that said, I guess he won't be lowering the price of eggs anytime soon. That is what the MAGA voters voted for. They needed their egg sandwiches, their scrambled eggs, their eggs Benedict, all of that. And it seems like it's going to cost them more because a 12 count of regular eggs right now, just store brand, is $4. I did not know that. The 18 count is $6. And then these cage free, which really means nothing, they are $4 and $6 each. Now, these are 30 eggs, which is $10, which I would think is not too bad. But the price of eggs have not really done anything to me because I personally get these right here. These are organic brown eggs, and they have always been this price. So, you know, I don't eat eggs often. It's not something that I desperately need, but the prices have always been that for the, you know, pasture raised brown organic eggs, and also the ones, you know, that come in different colors, green, blue, ivory. Yeah. So they've always been that price. So with all that said, it seems like bird flu is going around, and I do believe it, that a lot of different species of birds are dying because there were people in the comments section saying, oh, this is not true, this is made up, nothing's going around, they're lying to us again. These were the COVID-19 deniers until it reached out and touched a family member of theirs. I can assure you that COVID-19 did happen, that people did lose their life, and personally in the occupation that I had, I was updated with the deaths. So yeah, of the people who actually would be the first responders and the people who would actually be around you if you have it, risking their life and their families' lives because you don't believe that meat is greasy. So now people don't believe that this is going around. This has been happening for a while now, for a couple of years now. We've been hearing about bird flu, and it's getting worse. But yeah, I'll go ahead and leave it right here. I would love to ask a MAGA supporter, so what are you going to do now that the eggs are going to go up or be super high? What are you going to do? And what else did you vote for him since the egg situation is totally out of the picture? And I'll see you in the next one.
Joe Biden is asleep. Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce. 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 Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. 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 Party with Beyonce. 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 Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Kamala.